The judgment of the Nigerian Court of Appeal in the case of Nnamdi Kanu exposes the Nigerian government's weakness and vulnerabilities over that case. The handling of the case by the government of Nigeria has, from inception, shows the height of incompetence on the part of the government. In October 2015, the government arrested a relatively unknown Biafran agitator who did not actually commit any crime except for his radical expressions of his desire for the restoration of actualization of Biafra. Harvard-trained attorney and founder of Due Process Advocate, DPA, Emake Ugwunoye. Prior to his arrest in October of 2015, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was merely a more vocal version of Raphael Uwazurike of Masop, who had already been contained by the government. In October of 2015, Kanu entered Nigeria through Benin Republic without his passport being inspected and stamped at the border. His only offense then was entering Nigeria unexpected by immigration. It was a minor infraction. A fine perhaps would have been the right punishment for that, but because of a deep-rooted obsession of hate towards the word Biafra, Nigerian government rolled out its drums of war to deal with Nnamdi Kanu. It was just like getting a sledgehammer to kill a mosquito. Kanu was arrested in a hotel in Lagos and taken to Abuja with self-congratulatory statement from the Nigerian law enforcement on December 31st, 2015. In his meeting with press, President Buhari stated that there were 3 people who could never be granted bail. He named Nnamdi Kanu along with El Zakizaki and Colonel Sambo Dasuki. You wonder why Kanu would be lumped with these men. But that was because for Buhari, one of the actors in the brutal war against Biafrans in the 1960s, is reimagined the war each time the word Biafran was mentioned to his hearing. But even more disturbing, when did it become the duty of the president to decide who gets bail in court and who does not? The goal was clearly to suppress every dream of Biafra and to do so in a manner that left no one in doubt about the impossibility and futility of that dream. But right from that early stage, in this absurdity, the Nigerian government miscalculated. Though those miscalculations and missteps, the government plugged the country into the biggest mess it has faced in the ethnic tensions since the Civil War. What we saw on Thursday with the judgment of the Court of Appeal has been the climation and crystallization of the chain of blunders over his handling of Nnamdi Kanu. After his arrest, if the government were honest and had wanted to punish Kanu for the only offense possible, they would have charged him with obtaining by false pretense. That charge would have been the base on the fact that Kanu was seen in a video recording asking people to contribute money for him to buy bullets to fight for Buhari, but ended up not buying any bullets with the money so raised. If the government had charged Kanu with that, the government would have won, as the only effective defense would have been for him to show that he bought guns and bullets. Yes, there was evidence of fundraising for bullets which were never bought. The only reason the government did not pursue the only valuable charge was because it was not a serious enough charge to justify the denial of bail and the detention. The DSS wanted to detain Kanu without releasing him. The only way they felt they could achieve that was to charge him with a capital offense, and one that gives DSS the excuse to detain a person indefinitely. So they charged him with treason and treasonable offenses, and that was after several months of detaining him without charge. That is the stage we have returned to now: detention without charge. But rather than intimidating Nnamdi Kanu and suppressing the clamor and agitation for Biafra, the government's hindings ignited a level of public interest in Nnamdi Kanu that turned him into an instant hero and a symbol of the quest for an end to the perceived injustice in the structure of the politics of Nigeria. Millions of disempowered and uneducated youth of the East joined to support Kanu, naturally more from their heart than from their needs. After nearly 1 year of perpetual detention of Kanu, a lot of back and front and clear refusal to prosecute, the court cracked a number of the charges against Kanu, striking out the most serious of the charges: terrorism charges without terrorism charges. The DSS grip on the case of Nnamdi Kanu was greatly weakened. Then in April of 2017, the same court granted Kanu bail on health grounds, but imposed bail conditions that were clearly designed to be breached, which would then justify his rearrest and further detention. It was clear from those bail conditions that Justice Binta Nyako, the trial judge then, was neither free nor independent. It was a tinderbox waiting to explode. And almost immediately he was set free, Kanu violated the terms of his bail by holding series of rallies attended by thousands of people. He was a hero accidentally created by the DSS and handed to the people, desperate for a leader. He even set up the Biafran Intelligence Service, a uniformed group of unemployed youths. Another major misstep was when the governors of the southeast states sought the help of federal government on the ground that Kanu and his IPOB were posing serious threats to security in their areas. This was immediately after these governors had tried but failed to persuade Kanu to give up his agitation. In fact, the governors were only afraid that Kanu had become more popular than they. When the governors sought for the help of the federal government, they played into the hands of the federal government, which still wanted to suppress Kanu and Biafran dreams. So the federal government was quite eager to deploy troops to take Kanu back to detention and to send a message of blood and violence to deter his followers. But this was a big miscalculation and blunder in defining their goal and in planning the execution thereof. There is no doubt that President Buhari's government has mismanaged the entire problem. The president seems to have realized that his haste convening of National Security Council was indicative of frustration and loss of sense of direction, and the council's irrational statement that Nnamdi Kanu still had a case to answer is just a furtherance of the same pattern of blunders. What case does he have to answer outside the courts? The sooner the Nigerian government realizes that it has grossly mismanaged the case of Nnamdi Kanu, the better for all. Unfortunately, though, Nigerian government remains one with little respect for rule of law. It is characteristics, ignorance, and incompetence. He will refuse to release it will refuse to release Nnamdi Kanu and the situation gets worse, says Emake Ugwunoye. So guys, I'm dropping it.